Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Genesis, the 33rd chapter. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah, and unto Rachel, and unto the two handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. So in the separation, right, he had basically the mother with their children, each mother with their children, and in order of, the safest was all the way in the furthest back, because he loved Rachel the most, and Joseph clearly as well, being the first son that Rachel actually bore onto Jacob. So he put him all the way in the back, because if anything, being all the way in the back, they would have the greatest chance of escape. And he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. All right, once again, being this was a greeting, so like a kiss on the cheek. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the women and the children and said, "Who are these?" And he said, "The children which God hath graciously given thy servant." So Esau sees all the children of Jacob and asks, "Well, who are these?" And Jacob basically says, "Yeah, these are basically my offspring that the Lord blessed me with." Then the handmaidens came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah also and her children came near, and bowed themselves, and after came Joseph near, and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. So they all came and greeted Esau. And he said, "What meanest thou by all this drove which I met?" That's what Esau said. And Jacob replied, and he said, "These are to find grace in the sight of my Lord." And Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Keep that thou hast unto thyself." And Jacob said, "Nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face, as though I had seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me." And so basically, as he's saying here, keep in mind, right, because I'll pull this up in some of these other translations, but Jacob is urging Esau to basically take this present, right, this gift. And in the NLT, it says, if indeed before I read that, Jacob is basically saying, if indeed you are pleased to see me, then accept this gift of mine, in hopes that he could abate any ill feelings that Esau might have had towards him, going back to when they were younger, basically the stealing, the supplanting of the birthright and the blessing and all of that stuff. So as it says here in the NLT, "Please accept this gift from me, and what a relief to see your friendly smile. It is like seeing the face of God. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God." And when you keep in mind that the typical, the thought was, nobody has seen God's face and lived. So Jacob basically thought that he would die. He thought that Esau was going to kill him or harm him. But seeing that that wasn't the case, as he says, "Thou was pleased with me." "Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God hath dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough." And he urged him, and he took it. So he insisted until Esau accepted it. And he said, this is Esau, "Let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before thee." So he's basically like, "Oh, come on, let's go. Why don't you come with me, and let's go back home, or go back into the land." And he said unto him, and Jacob said, "My Lord knoweth that the children are tender." So they're still young, "and the flocks and herds are young with me. and if men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. And what Jacob was doing here was he likely still didn't trust Esau fully, right? And his concerns were not 100% at ease. And so he basically gives him the excuse that, oh, right now the children are still young, right? I have a whole lot of flock and herds with me. And if I was to, try to force this trip upon them all in one day, or all of a sudden, they would die, right? They wouldn't make it, and it wouldn't be a good outcome. So let my Lord, I pray thee, pass over before thy servant. So you go on ahead before, and I will lead on softly, and eventually I'll make my way there, according as the cattle that goeth before me, and the children be able to endure. So eventually I'll make my way there, at a good pace that it'll be good to where even the children and the cattle and stuff it won't be too much for them, until I come unto my Lord unto Seir. And Esau said, let me now leave thee with some of the folk that are with me. So Esau says, okay, but let me at least leave you with some of my men. And he said, what needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord. So in other words, no. Jacob is like, no, that's not necessary. You don't got to do all that. Oh, man. Here in the NLT, it says, Jacob responded, that is not necessary. It's enough that you've received me warmly, my Lord. So this is kind of like the polite refusal kind of thing. But, Jacob has his reasons. Because in his mind, he's thinking, okay, what if I go with you to Seir and you ambush me? Okay, you want to leave your men here. What if you've given them orders to, when you leave and my guard is down for them to kill me or something like that? So he's like, it's fine. You just go on ahead. It's good to see you, though. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth and built him an house and made booths for his cattle. Therefore, the name of the place is called Succoth, which is booths. And Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padanaram, and pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of a field where he had spread his tent, and basically a piece of land, at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And it says money here because when you look into the word, it doesn't specify the exact currency, be it gold or silver or whatnot. And he erected there an altar and called it El-Elohi Israel, which when you go into that, it's Elohim in the Hebrew, or Elohim Lasharala, Yasharala, should be or gods of Israel. But long story short, he comes into this land. Now, let me see if I can find it again. Jacob's journey back to Canaan. Okay, this one might be okay. Yeah, so he comes Succoth somewhere around here. And so basically now Jacob is settled, right, in this place here in Shechem, having bought some land to where he would stay, with his family. And that brings us to the end of the book of Genesis, the 33rd chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.